Earlier in the video, I showed you how you can play different volumes just by adjusting the amount of force with a squeeze. Here is playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star a little softly. And here is by playing it a little louder. But I'm going to show you one of my inventions. I call it the hand mute. All you need is a tissue. You ball up the tissue and you want to make sure it sits in the cupped region of your hand and doesn't extend down to your palms where the actual vibrating of the skin occurs, or else it would interfere with the playing. And now when you play, you can be a little muted. Let me see if I can actually blast a note versus using all my force. And you can see that it actually works. So when you're around people still practicing and trying to improve, but everyone is annoyed because it still sounds crude and unrefined, you can use the hand mute. There's more to manualism than just playing notes and doing different styles of notes such as beats and glissando and stuff. Some people will actually pop different tunes. Of course, they've got more flab on their hands than me because I'm scrawny. But there are different conditions which affect how one plays. For example, if it's a cold day, a hot day, if you're sweating, or if you're cold, or if it's too humid outside. Some people will practice in the bathroom, like when you're taking a shower, and that can help you adjust and get accustomed to playing in more humid environments. So if you're on stage and you start sweating, you're able to accommodate for that. Let me demonstrate. When I'm playing, I sound crisp. But if it's too humid and my hands get moist, or if I sweat, and I can demonstrate that with a simple handy dandy wash bottle. Okay, I just put some water on my hands, and now listen as I play. Okay, it sounded a little softer, not quite as crisp. Of course, I was still able to play the notes due to me having practiced so much. But let me demonstrate by adding more water to the hands. Okay, the water can help produce a tighter seal. For example, if it's in the dead of winter and your hands are too dry, it's going to be hard to actually produce a nice seal to play notes very easily, especially if your hands are numb from the cold, you know. So the nice thing about the moisture is it produces a tight seal, but too much of it produces too much friction, it's hard to squeeze, and you can't even produce as crisp of a tone. A moment ago I mentioned how if it's too dry, you don't have enough moisture on your hands to produce a tight seal. Like in the wintertime when it's too cold that the cold air doesn't hold enough moisture, your hands are chapped, and you really need to winterize your hands before you can play. Okay? So, you want to continue sounding nice and crisp when you play. But if your hands are too dry, you can simply grab some moisturizing cream. Now, different moisturizing creams have different consistencies, and you really have to search for one that suits your style of playing, because everybody's hands are different. Some people may prefer one kind of cream versus another, but you don't want to put too much cream. I like to just take a little bit of cream, okay, just put a small dab on the back of my hand. Okay, and the reason why I put it on the back is to ensure that I don't get too much on the palms where I can still play tunes versus having too much moisture. Then I'll just mash the top side of the hand and then I'll rub it on. And this way, just having a little dab and then trying to spread it all evenly over the hands can produce moisture on the hands without producing too much, so I can still play nice and crisp. Okay, if I were to add more moisturizing cream, however, to where I put too much, okay, it won't sound as refined. Okay, I squeezed too much. Okay. I have some in my hand. So, you know, I put a little bit earlier and I just now put a little bit more. And, oh yeah, my hands feel nice and slimy. Ugh. I wouldn't say nice and slimy because it's Gross. Anyway, now when I try to play, listen and you'll notice the difference. If you notice, it was a little harder to play the notes. There was too much friction, and it didn't sound nice and crisp. It sounded a little more crude. So keep that in mind if you do resort to moisturizing cream, or also when it comes to humidity and if you're sweating versus being in the humid environment or a dry environment. And on to the next segment. Unlike other musical instruments, the hands require a little maintenance in order to keep them physically fit, in order to have enough strength when you're trying to do some nice tight squeezes to play the high notes. And not everybody mows lawns for a living, and using a push mower so you can keep pushing the mower and having more strength. Or kayaking for that matter, unless you're a professional kayaker, you're not going to be doing that all day. And those are two nice repetitive activities to where you can help strengthen your arms. So one thing I like to do are wrist weights. You can put the wrist weights on for a while, so having a little extra weight can help increase the endurance because you're doing that for a while. And because I don't really have time to go jogging and using these, one way to do that is to put these on while driving, because some people are stuck in traffic, and when you're stuck in traffic, you're just sitting there like that, holding your hands up. Of course, I wouldn't recommend this to everybody because some people may live way out in the country where it's feasible to do, but if you're in the city, you may not want to get into a car accident with wrist weights on. So there are other methods to strengthen the hands. And you've got some weights. You've got dumbbells, and you could just be doing this jig, or flexing. Of course, I don't have time to go and physically think of exercising, I could care less. I'm scrawny. I'm not one who has to exercise to maintain my figure. Everybody talks about having a figure to maintain or a figure to achieve, but I've got a figure to attain. So really, I don't think about exercising. So, but if you must exercise, you can do this jig, or build your own exercise equipment. You can do this exercise with this, or that one. And basically this just consists of a couple pieces of wood stretched out, and then I drilled a groove to where I put a dowel and another dowel at the bottom. And then I went to a craft store and got the little spools for the bobbins and sewing machines. Put rubber bands, so the nice thing about this is you can adjust the tension if you want to. And last but not least, if you like to go camping, you may want to invest in one of these flashlights that you have to squeeze in order to produce a light. Of course, how practical is something like this, when you go camping? You want more than just one simple LED. But anyway, one thing though when it comes to exercise is that if you do too much exercise, your hands will strengthen, but you won't have enough energy to play the music, so there needs to be a fine balance. So you don't want to just do this every other day. Either you do it for long duration and you work on getting your hands really strong and then you keep at it. Of course, I'm not that dedicated with exercise. So then you want to let your hands relax and then just use what little energy you have. And those are different ways, that different people can use. Just play around with them and see which thing works best when it comes to exercising and strengthening your hands. I hope you guys found this video entertaining, exhilarating, and useful at learning the art of manualism. For those of you who are aspiring manualists, I hope the techniques learned here are useful at pursuing your careers in the field of manualism. And those of you who are not, I hope you find this entertaining and keep watching my video. I mean, why not, And, don't forget to check out my website, www.handini.com. HANDINI. Thank you.